Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome aboard. This is Just Parlays with Chris King. I'm your host, Scott Steen, or at least I was. I lasted one day, and look who's back. Jim Blake.
You got demoted already.
That's right. Well, I'm already out. What's up, Jimmy?
Hey, I just wanted to come in today, guys. We got a special guest. He's a friend. He's an expert on the draft aspect of he does just about everything about college football you want to know. You can hear him with his draft analysis all throughout the New York area on WFAN. He's involved with the Maxwell Football Foundation. He's a fantastic guy, and I want to get him on here because we want to give him max time, and we want to give it all that he needs. Rich Cimarello. Rich, come on down. Put him on the board here, boy.
There he is.
Hey, Rich.
Introduction there, Jim. Can you guys hear me okay?
We got you
just fine, Rich.
Sounds good. How you guys doing?
We're
good.
well.
How are you doing, Rich?
I imagine you're not busy at all this week, huh?
Yeah, no, it's odd because there is a little bit of a pause right now. All of the work has been done, and all of the scouts have been talked to, and all of the mock drafts have been made. So in a weird sort of way, over the next 72 hours, things are just a little bit quiet until we get that first pick on Thursday night.
Very good. So it's good to have you with us. We'll try to stick to some of the highlights. The main question I have, and I know a lot of people are asking right now, who's going to go number one, Rich? Is there the fire there that's indicated by the smoke, or is it going to be Hutchinson, or is it going to be somebody else?
Yeah, who you're referring to is Trayvon Walker from Georgia. Right. If you follow the odds, it's a fascinating story. It's not to say that Georgia folks or NFL scouts, anyone who follows the NFL draft knew that there was a high ceiling for Trayvon Walker, the defensive lineman out of Georgia, but the ascent that he has made over the last couple of months to now being the odds-on favorite to beat that number one overall pick to the Jaguars is quite surprising. And I think I think in this case where there's smoke, there is fire. I at this late stage, the more people that you talk to, and it's either going to be Hutchinson or Walker. I think it's going to be Walker now. I think it's going to go Walker number one to the Jaguars, and Aiden Hutchinson stays home and falls, if you could say, falls to number two to the Lions.
So he basically gets to stay home up there in Michigan and go play for the Lions. That's not an awful deal for him.
No, it's not. It's not an awful deal for Dan Campbell, the head coach of the Lions. I think it's a case, guys, where Hutchinson, you clearly know what you get. You've had the production over the past couple of seasons, particularly last year where he was the Heisman runner-up. Terrific all-around kid, great motor. You know what you're going to get. With Walker, you don't know quite as much because on that Georgia defense, there were only so many tackles, only so many sacks, only so many plays behind the line of scrimmage that could be made, and the production wasn't there compared to Aiden Hutchinson. So what you're doing is projecting based on just an absolutely phenomenal pre-draft process. His combination of size and speed and athleticism and want to is actually higher than Aiden Hutchinson. So you're projecting a little bit that we haven't seen the best of Trayvon Walker, and we will once we get to the NFL.
All right, I'm going to ask one more question. I'm going to turn it over to my very capable co-host here. Who do you have as number one? If you were making that pick, are you going Hutchinson or are you going Walker?
I would go Hutchinson. I just think it's a case of floor versus ceiling. You know, Walker's ceiling might be a little bit higher. I just think Aiden Hutchinson is closer to a sure thing. I think his floor is much higher. Not a knock on Trayvon Walker, but I just think he's closer to a sure thing. And at that number one pick, and when I say sure thing, it's not just on-field production, it's off-field too. I think he's the total package. When you're trying to change a culture, and Jacksonville is going to be trying to change a culture, You want players like Trevor Lawrence and Aiden Hutchinson. To me, he's the safest of the two picks.
All right, very good. What do you guys got for Rich?
Well, I was going to say, Rich, sticking with Georgia, we've seen a lot of talk about Nakobe Dean falling down draft boards. Is there any reason why he's falling so quickly?
Purely size. Does not have prototypical size for the position. That's the only knock on Nakobe Dean. Having said that, when you watch the athleticism, and this really applies to all of those Georgia linebackers, Quay Walker, Channing Tindall, but most notably Nakobe Dean. He's a little bit smaller than you would want at the position, but in terms of not just athleticism, but the leadership, the motivation, the character, the football IQ, he's well above average. So he's a second half of the first round kind of a kid, but whoever gets him, I think he instantly becomes a key member of that, not just that defense, but that entire locker room.
Would Sam Mills be a good comp for him?
Yeah, Sam. You know what Sam Mills and I have in common? You'll never guess.
You're both 5'11"?
No, we are both short, but we both have degrees from Montclair State University. I have a master's from Montclair. Sam got his undergrad from Montclair. Yeah, the one thing I'll say is Sam isn't quite the athlete that Dean is, but in terms of stature, pretty similar.
So there goes my guess. I thought you were going to say you were both got endorsed by Sam Rutigliano to play in the USFL.
Yeah, exactly.
Now what about Sauce Gardner? Is he that much better than the rest of the corners coming out? I mean, we've heard about a ton about Derek Stingley, but I mean, people are concerned about his injury as well. So, how far down would you rank Stingley below Gardner?
You know what's interesting? It's so funny. Things start to percolate at this late stage of the draft process. I think Stingley might wind up going higher than Sauce Gardner, despite everything that's happened over the past couple of months. The knock on Stingley, as you mentioned, is just the fact that we haven't seen what we saw from him as a true freshman, in which he looked like he was an All-American as a true freshman going up against the likes of Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson in practice over at LSU. He was phenomenal. But over the last couple of seasons, hasn't been healthy. So we don't know. Athleticism, size, all of that has never been an issue. He just has not been able to be on the field consistently over the past couple of seasons. So there's a bit of guesswork when it comes to Stingley. I love Sauce Gardner. I think he would fit in very well. For instance, like the New York Jets, I think would be a perfect fit. His personality. He is exactly the kind of guy you want out on an island, very long, very lean, did a great job at Cincinnati, played on a terrific championship squad there. I think Stingley, though, on the heels of some fantastic workouts, I think he might sneak ahead of Sauce Gardner and actually be the first corner selected.
Well, that would be a nice plus 160 payout if you were able to get on Stingley there.
I would absolutely take the under on Derek Stingley at this stage. Those odds have been changing. I think the money is not as lucrative as it was a couple of weeks ago, but I still think he's an under choice right now.
There you go, guys. Hope you're writing this stuff down. These are kind of the nuggets that we want to bring you each and every day.
Hey, Rich, I have a quick question, and I'll turn it back to the gang. Over and under 3 quarterbacks in the first round. And that is a great question. I know you that you had a chance to hang out with Kenny Pickett. So
yeah. I think is it at 3 at this point? The last I saw was 2.5. If it was 2.5, I would take the over.
How do you get half a quarterback?
Yeah.
I've got to use 3.5 to the under right now.
Okay.
The under is minus 300. The over 3.5 is plus 200.
Yeah, 3.5. I would take the under. I think the way it's going to go is you've got Kenny Pickett, as Jimmy mentioned, Malik Willis. I think those two kids go in the first round. I'm expecting late in the first round, possibly even a trade up. I can see a team like a Detroit, like a Seattle, New Orleans if they trade back, someone who needs in Atlanta trading late into the first round, going after the guy that I really like and I think has some buzz to be late first round right now, is Desmond Ridder of Cincinnati. I know people have talked about Matt Corral. I think he's a second rounder. Sam Howell, North Carolina, I think is a second rounder. Watch Desmond Ridder late in the first round to be the third quarterback. But if it's 3.5, I don't think we're getting to 4 quarterbacks in the first round. Not this year, not with this class.
All right. Does it bother you about Pickett's hands? Is that a big deal? We've been hearing about Hutchinson's arms, and we've been hearing about Pickett's hands for a month now. And it's kind of an interesting thing. The only quarterbacks taken in the first 3 rounds with hands as small as Pickett's, Charlie Fry, Kevin O'Connell, and Michael Vick. That's it. So under 9 inches, played in Pittsburgh. Turnovers were not a dramatic issue for Kenny Pickett. My bigger concern with Pickett is, here's the difference between Pickett and Willis. You know, if you want to have that discussion, we'll go back to the floor and the ceiling debate with Hutchinson and Walker. It's very similar with the quarterbacks. Kenny Pickett, I worry, and I like him. He's steady. He's not going to kill you. I do think he'll be a starting NFL quarterback. But I wonder, at the age of 24, have we seen the ceiling already during the Pittsburgh days? And he was phenomenal last year, but it took a long time for him to get to that point. I fear, if I'm an NFL GM, that I have seen the ceiling of Kenny Pickett, that if you invest, let's say, Carolina at number 6 and Matt Rule trying to save his job, maybe he has peaked already. With Malik Willis, there's a ton of potential. There's all the physical ability, the arm talent, the ability outside of the pocket, the strength as a runner outside of the pocket. I don't think we've seen the best of Malik Willis, and that's why I think he has the brighter future. I just think Kenny Pickett's going to hit a ceiling and never get to that point where he's actually one of the 8, 10, 12 best quarterbacks in the NFL.
Now, do you put any stock in the Wonderlic test for quarterbacks, Rich? Because I know that they released the scores over the weekend. They said Bailey Zappi from Western Kentucky had the highest number. What kind of stock do you put in that as somebody that's very in tune with the draft?
Not much, to be honest with you. I mean, listen, I don't want my quarterback, to be as dumb as a bag of dirt, obviously. But I think it transcends a Wonderlic. What I'm looking for intelligence-wise is more about football IQ, his ability to digest the playbook, leadership skills, work ethic. Those are the intangible characteristics that I'm looking for. Higher Wonderlic is nice, and I do like Bailey Zappi. Actually, if we get to a point of talking about day 3 quarterbacks, I think he's an interesting kid, kind of a Case Keenum type of a quarterback. Came out of that those 2 very wide open systems, Houston Baptist initially and then Western Kentucky last year. But really smart kid, doesn't have the physical attributes that you're looking for. But day 3 quarterbacks, if you're looking for a flyer, a developmental prospect, he could be one of those guys.
I'm a big fan of that kid. He made us a lot of money this season, so I'm always gonna have a soft place in my heart for Bailey Zappi.
You have a soft place in your heart for any air raid quarterback.
Can't argue with that.
You guys are going to be a Cameron Ward fan this year, I have a hunch.
I can see that. What is Carolina going to do, Rich? Are they going to trade back like they should, or is the owner going to get his home run? Because Tepper, all the reports are that he wants to hit a home run. He doesn't want to wait around. Doesn't want to draft an unsexy lineman, anything like that. So, are they going to pull the trigger, and is it going to be Willis, or is it going to?
I totally agree with the sentiment of trading back. I don't know if there's an interest. I don't know if there's a market to trade back. I think it makes more sense to do that. You guys probably know this. The audience may not, but Matt Rule has a relationship with Kenny Pickett, recruited him to be a Temple Owl back in the day before Kenny decided to head further out west to Western Pennsylvania. So he knows Kenny Pickett. I think it's a decent marriage. I think it's way too rich at number 6. If you're able to trade back somehow towards the teens and then grab a Kenny Pickett there, it makes a lot more sense. you need a quarterback. Sam Darnold is not the answer. I don't think he's ever going to be the answer. But the conundrum for Matt Rule is he needs wins now. And the guy who's most NFL ready for 2022 would be Kenny Pickett. But I don't know if that's enough to get him the number of wins he needs to return again in 2023.
Now I've got a middle ticket on Malik Willis to go between 10.5 and 12.5, which puts us in the Washington and Minnesota spot. Now, obviously, Washington needs a quarterback. Minnesota does not. But is that a spot where somebody like the Saints or the Steelers could trade into without giving up too much capital? Take a quarterback there.
Yeah, I think between 10 and 12, I do think you're looking trade. I could see the Saints, Malik Willis developing behind Jameis for a year and then taking over in 2023. I really like the marriage with Pittsburgh. Mike Tomlin seems to have an affection for Malik Willis. Malik Willis is another kid who's high character. He's the kind of guy you want inside your organization. Will he get to the point that you need from a physical standpoint? Time will tell. Mike Tomlin seems to really think highly of Malik Willis. I don't know if he lasts till 20. That's a risky proposition. I think someone pulls the trigger prior to that point. But if you're thinking 10 to 12, 10 to 13, I do think it's going to require a trade because of the teams that are there right now.
Right. All right. Very good.
Speaking of trades, Rich, how about the over/under 4 trades in the first round?
Jim, I would take the under. There have been a number of trades up to this point. Saints and Eagles, right? 2-3 weeks ago, first round swapping of picks. There have been trades up to this point, which I believe have been built in. So I'm thinking it's going to wind up being an under situation. And again, because the quarterbacks are not particularly hot commodities right now, I don't know if anyone's going to be looking to trade up to grab a Pickett or a Willis. I would expect it again to be more late first round for a Desmond Ridder. I think Desmond Ridder is going to be a hot commodity once we get to late on Thursday night.
And what about David Ojabo? Where do you think he falls at this point after getting hurt at the combine, Rich? Obviously, there's
a great
lot
question.
He's got a lot of talent. I know he won't play probably at all this season, but is he still worth a first-round pick or an early second-round pick?
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic question. We could go a step further and even talk about Jamison Williams. Jamison's injury obviously happened earlier. He'll recover faster. I think he will play this season. As you mentioned, Ojabo, not expected to see any field action this year, but young player in terms of his development, really blossomed opposite of Aiden Hutchinson at Michigan last year. If I'm in the early part of the second round and I could use essentially a redshirt year for David Ojabo this year, I would take a shot. Depends on the organization. If you're not in a pressing need kind of a situation, even if you're late in the first round and you feel like you have a deep roster, I think it's an outstanding pick to go for David Ojabo and let him sit out this year, learn the organization, and then prepare for 2023. I think he's got a very bright future.
If he was healthy, would he be a top 10 pick, in your opinion?
Yeah, it's a good question. I would say he would be somewhere between 10 and 15 is where I had him pegged. I think he would have been somewhere in the teens.
As a Chiefs fan, I remember the draft, and I can't remember what year it was. It was the year that Julius Peppers absolutely dominated at North Carolina. We took the end on the other side, Ryan Sims, because he had fantastic numbers. And what we learned was he had fantastic numbers because they were basically focusing all their attention on Julius Peppers. Is there any danger with that, with the Ojabo, with Hutchinson on the other side? Is there any possibility that he has benefited from playing in that system? And two really good guys in the middle of that line, by the way, too.
Yeah, I think it's a fair question. That entire defense at Michigan was outstanding last year. But for me, the reason why I'm high on Ojabo is prior to getting injured during his workout, he was going to test exceptionally well. has exactly the kind of makeup, speed, agility that you're looking for in an edge rusher. And again, he has not played a ton of football in his life, did not play a ton of football at Michigan. So I think the trajectory was headed in a direction where the best is yet to come for David Ojabo. I think it's a very fair question. I think these are things that always have to be looked at. System in general and personnel around you. That's why we see so many guys that surprise, because maybe it was, the running back in a pass-happy offense, or the quarterback who had 50 drops from his receivers last year. You really have to dig deeper, so I think it's a fair question, but I'm still bullish on Ojabo once he's healthy.
All right, very good. Anything else for Rich before we let him get out of here? I know you probably got a ton of stuff to do, Rich, so we appreciate you stopping by for sure.
Yeah, the only thing I was wondering is, Rich, if you thought that obviously Breece Hall is the talk of the running backs. Is Kenneth Walker going to sneak past him as a workhorse back, or is Hall going to end up being the first back taken?
Yeah, I like both of these kids a lot. We all know that, running backs are not particularly coveted when it comes to, first 15 or 20 picks. There are always exceptions. Heck, Derrick Henry was second rounder. I think it's possible we see no running backs taken in the first round. I think it's Breece Hall first, Kenneth Walker second. I think they're both going to be outstanding NFL backs. If you watch tape of Breece Hall, he is just so quick in the hole, so quick in space, has great vision, above average receiver. Another example of someone who had to carry the offense. Brock Purdy never developed as many of us, including myself, expected over the past couple of years. So the passing game was inconsistent. I like both of these backs, but again, when you talk running backs in the draft, we tend to really look more in terms of what can I get on day 2, day 3, where are the diamonds in the rough, those gems. The Austin Ecklers who are out there, who are those backs that can be feature guys where I don't have to invest a first or second rounder? And there's a lot of them out there, including Damian Pierce of Florida, who's one of my favorites.
Does it bother you if you're an NFL head coach in this day and age of throwing the football with defensive lines overloading one side or the other? You've almost got to have a running back that can get in there and stick his nose in and be a good blocker. I know Andy Reid, you don't play if you don't block as a running back in Kansas City. Neither one of these guys were very well known for their blocking, either Walker or Hall. Does that give you pause at all with drafting these guys, or is it all about running ability?
No, I think it's important these days. I think it's super important. If you want to be a 3-down back, that means that you got to have a willingness to block. You have to have a willingness to catch out of the backfield. It's more than just running. Because many colleges don't ask their feature backs to actually be blocking backs, I think a lot of times it comes down to that willingness more than anything else. Are you a willing, selfless blocker, something that can be taught over time once you get into an NFL camp? Or are you a prima donna? And if you don't have the ball in your hands, you're pouting. So I think a lot of that really has to do with personality, character, makeup. And that's what's learned during this process as well.
Rich, I know you got to get going. We really appreciate you dropping by. Where can people follow you?
Yeah, Twitter's always great. Always appreciate that. At Rich Sermonello. Good luck trying to spell the last name, but you guys can find me, I'm sure. Maxwell Football Club is where I spend most of my time these days.
All right. Thanks a lot, Rich, and promise you'll come back sometime soon.
Will do. Thank you, guys. Enjoy.
Thanks, Rich.
Thanks, Rich. Have a great draft.
Really appreciate it.
There he goes. All right. Very good. Good guy. Yeah. Very, very knowledgeable. I hope we took a couple of good tips there and some wagerable tips as well. So that's
got some real good information there.
That's always a great thing.
Yeah.
So,
and Rich also does. The reason we can have him back to later is Rich does fantasy football and also wagering on fantasy football. So there's some things that can be done with Rich in the not too distant Future. Well,
Cool.
guys, I will step aside and let you guys get to your stuff. Tomorrow, Rock Riley, a friend of the shows, will come by and
Is he going to talk about Ric Flair again?
If you ask him, he's Reg, Rock. All you have to do is say wrestling, and he's there to talk. So, and since Ric Flair's his neighbor, that makes it even easier. So.
Yeah, Jim's got some stories about Ric Flair. Scott seeing him at 7-Eleven with Dusty Rhodes.
It's been a while, though.
Outstanding.
All right, boys. I'm going to let you go.
All right, buddy.
Thanks a lot. And as always, it's a pleasure.
Thanks, Jim.
Ours,
Bye,
buddy.
guys.
Take care. All right. There you go. I thought they'd never leave. All right, man. Well, we got a short period of time. We got a long way to go and a short time to get there, Chris.
Yeah, well, first I'd like to thank Franmil Reyes of the Guardians for screwing up on that game yesterday. How you come up to the plate with runners on first and second and nobody out in a 1-0 game where a guy can't hit the broadside of a barn in the strike zone unless Angel Hernandez was behind the plate.
Swing at the first pitch.
No, he was behind. He was ahead 3-0 and swung at a pitch a foot inside and that would have hit him, and then proceeded to strike out.
Oh, brutal. Well, it was almost as bad in the Cardinals game with the Cardinals up 2-0 against the Mets. 2 down, 2 strikes, man on second in the 9th. Give up 5 runs.
Yeah, I saw the Canha infield single, and then I'm like, well, they brought in Jankowski to run. I figured he would have scored, but when McNeil doubled, but no, they held him at third.
Yeah, did they call that a base hit or call that an error?
They ruled which one? The McNeil one?
Yeah, when they hit to Arenado.
Oh no, they ruled it a hit and then a throwing error.
Oh, because he didn't get to second though.
I know, but they ruled it an infield single originally. I don't know if they overturned it afterwards.
That's an error all day to me. He
couldn't
get that glove out of his. Couldn't get the ball out of his glove and get his feet set.
Then you had that 2-run infield single.
Yeah.
And then Nimmo then yanked one down the right field line.
Brutal.
But Scherzer got the full DeGrom treatment. So I mean, welcome to New York, right? 7 innings, gives up no runs, gets a no decision.
Yeah.
Because the bullpen then gives up 2 in the 8th. And I felt bad for Mikolas too because he threw 7.
Yeah.
7 very good innings.
That was a very good pitching matchup right there. So, all right, buddy, what do we have cooked up for today?
Well, we'll start with the Brewers and the Pirates because it's the Pirates. Brandon Woodruff going against Mitch Keller. As you can see, Mitch Keller not good. 0-3 with a 6.23 ERA, 1.692 WHIP, 5 walks to 15 strikeouts over 13 innings. Woodruff struggled in his first start of the year against the Cubs, but he settled down and won back-to-back outings coming into this one. So he's now 2-1 with a 4.3 ERA. Don't expect a ton of offense from either one of these teams. The Brewers 26th in runs per game at 329. They're 24th on the road at 2.89. Pittsburgh averaging 3.56 runs a game on the season. They are averaging 4.83 runs a game at home, but they've only played 6 games at PNC Park. I don't know if you saw any of that Brewers game yesterday, Scott, where the Giants threw 8 pitchers to get through 9 innings. They won 4-2 after scoring twice in the 8th and twice in the 9th because Milwaukee didn't use Devin Williams or Josh Hader. No, let's go to the other guys. Fortunately, that worked out for us. We said take the Giants anyway, but still.
Right.
You figure you would use your key guys in the bullpen. Milwaukee 4-0 in their last 4 against the Central, 4-1 in their last 5 on the road. Pittsburgh 3-10 in their last 13 at home after a road trip of at least 7 days. Even better, they're 0-4 in their last 4 after an off day. Milwaukee's won 38 of the last 52 meetings. Basically, Mitch Keller's on my fade list because he's bad all the time. It's like Brian Fantana said in Anchorman, 60% of the time it works every time. I'm going to go with Milwaukee in this one at PNC Park. I just can't trust the Pirates. Sure, they took 3 out of 4 over the weekend from the Cubs, but that's mainly because the Cubs couldn't hit with runners in scoring position.
Okay.
And as you can see, Scott's camera keeps cutting in and out, so you get to see a giant S on the screen, and that's not Superman.
Or is it, buddy? Or is it? All right. Got to keep it moving here, bud.
Yep, I'm going to stick with the Dodgers. Oh, I forgot to change the pitching matchup for the Dodgers. It's Tony Gonsolin going instead of Walker Buehler. Zach Davies going for the Diamondbacks. Speaking of Buehler, we said he was due yesterday. What, he threw a three-hit shutout, struck out 10. The Dodgers still lead the majors in runs per game. The Diamondbacks are 3rd worst in the majors in runs per game at 288. They're fourth worst at home at 2.7. The Dodgers beat up on bad teams, 48-9 in their last 57 against teams with a winning percentage below 400. 5-1 in their last 6 as a road favorite. The Diamondbacks 2-7 in their last 9 at home. And the Dodgers have taken 40 of 55 meetings between these teams. Scott, did you see anything that impressed you about the Diamondbacks yesterday?
No, I did not. I was impressed by Walker Buehler and what he did to the Diamondbacks, but no, the Diamondbacks, if I'm an Arizona fan, yesterday is not a game I hang my hat on.
Yeah, I'm not expecting anything different from the Diamondbacks today. I know Gonsolin isn't necessarily great. He doesn't throw a ton of innings. But let's face it, I watched Zach Davies pitch, for a lot of years in the NL Central with the Brewers and the last couple of years with the Cubs. And he's one of those pitch to contact guys. And one of the teams you don't want to pitch to contact to is probably the Dodgers because, they'll knock you around the park, beat you like a redheaded stepchild. And they're going to light up Davies. I think, weather will be nice in Chase Field. I think it's supposed to be in the low 90s or something like that. But hey, it doesn't feel like 90. At least that's what the Diamondbacks fans can tell themselves over there at the pool in the right field corner.
Dry heat.
I'm going to take the Dodgers to win here.
Okay.
And now we go to the ice. Your favorite place.
I love the ice. Love it when it has bourbon on top of it.
I'm going to take the Lightning over the Blue Jackets. Of course, Columbus has nothing to play for because, let's face it, they're Columbus and they're not a very good hockey team. The Lightning, they're still battling to hold off Boston for the third guaranteed spot in the Atlantic Division. It's going to be Elvis Merzlikins in net for the Blue Jackets against Andrei Vasilevsky. And one thing that we've talked about in the last couple of weeks with Jim was the fact that Tampa Bay, they've played a lot more games than anybody else the last couple of years. That's what happens when you win back-to-back Stanley Cup titles. So they had a bit of a lull there, but they bounced back, snapped Florida's 13-game win streak the other day with an 8-4 win at the FLA Live Arena in Sunrise. Columbus is 14th in goals for, but they're 29th in goals against, giving up 3.62 goals a night. Tampa Bay 8th in goals for, 6th in goals against. They're 5-1 in their last 6 overall, 57-17 in their last 74 against teams with a losing record. Columbus 16-41 in their last 57 as a road underdog, 1-4 in their last 5 overall, and that win just came over Edmonton at home the other night. And they're 0-4 in the last 4 meetings with Tampa Bay. I don't have a ton of faith in Columbus. I haven't had faith in Columbus all season. Any team that can lose to bad hockey teams like the Flyers deserve to be faded, in my opinion. Anything to add, Scott?
I haven't had faith in Columbus since he thought he was in India when he actually landed in Cuba. So yeah,
there you go, folks. That's called a historical reference for those of you scoring at home.
I hope you are.
And then we'll go to Vancouver, where the Canucks.
Why do you ask me questions after hockey? You do 2 baseball games, you ask me nothing. You got a hockey play with Columbus. You got any questions? Any thoughts? Yeah, Columbus sucks. Don't bet on them. There's my thoughts.
Well, because I like to make sure you're involved.
Yeah. Okay.
And this way you can expand your horizons. It's not like the Reichel show where he'll talk about 47 different props on one game that inevitably have nothing to do with anything.
You know who you don't want to? You tell them to expand their horizons. Kyrie Irving.
This is true.
Moving on.
I'm going to take Vancouver over Seattle. The Canucks still have a faint chance of making the playoffs. They'll have to win out and get the Stars to lose out. They're 6 points back with 3 games to play. Seattle has nothing to play for because, let's face it, they're an expansion team. Philip Grubauer, who's been absolutely atrocious, 18-30-5 with a 314 goals against an 890 save percentage. Expected to start against Thatcher Demko, who's 33-22-7 with a 272 goals against and 915 save percentage and 1 shutout. Seattle third worst in the league in goals for, 259, 24th in goals against at 346. Canucks are 18th in goals for, 11th in goals against. Vancouver 7-0 in their last 7 on 2 days of rest, 4-1 in their last 5 at home. Seattle is bad on the road. We said they're 11-25-3. They're 8-24 in their last 32 as a road underdog. 5-18 in their last 23 against the Pacific Division. Good news for Jim's buddy Bruce Spanky Boudreau as the Canucks get the win for their coach as the Kraken take yet another road L unfortunately for them, they can't get through the season fast enough.
Somebody asking about the Canucks and the over there. You like that?
I haven't seen what the over was. I know the problem with Vancouver. Well, if you're talking total, the total's 6.5. That's pretty high for a Seattle team that doesn't necessarily do a whole lot offensively.
Okay.
You look at the first three. Well, the first 3 meetings, the over's 2-0-1. I just don't know if Vancouver is going to put up 5 goals again like they did in each of the last 2 matchups. If you're going team total, I would probably ride that with Vancouver.
All right, very good. What
but
else?
I wouldn't touch Seattle anyway.
Okay.
And now we'll go to the NBA, Scott. Now you can have some commentary.
Okay, I'm awake now.
We've got the Heat and the Hawks, Game 5. Of course, Atlanta in a 3-1 hole. They've been blown out in their 3 losses. They're going on the road here where they're 0-2 in the series. Miami is 6th in postseason scoring at 112.5, 7th in field goal percentage at 46.8, 8th in three-point shooting at 36.6. The Hawks, second worst in scoring offense in the postseason, just 98.3 points a game. 13th in field goal percentage, 12th in three-point shooting. I know the big news today is Kyle Lowry will not play for the Heat. He's out with a hamstring strain. But all that means is Gabe Vincent gets more playing time. And if there's a guy that you can count as a defensive stopper you've never heard of, it's Gabe Vincent. He's got the lowest field goal percentage allowed among any player that's had 20 shots taken against him in the playoffs. And Trae Young, the top option for Atlanta offensively, 3 for 11 shooting the ball against Vincent in this series. Scott, do you think the Hawks have anything left?
No, they look to be done. I'm going to change his name to Can't Hit It Trae Young.
Yeah, he's had a rough series, to say the least. And, not having Clint Capella, I think, has impacted them as well because it takes a big out of the lineup. I know everybody's talking about, well, they've got Onyeka Okongwu. Well, I got somebody you want to meet. His name is Bam Adebayo. I think that's a major factor that's impacted Atlanta as well. But to your point, yeah, Trae Young shooting 21.2% from beyond the arc in this series. He's 7 of 33. At some point, you got to stop shooting from out there.
I don't think that's going to happen with Trae Young. That's shoot, Chris. That's what they do.
Well, I know, but I mean, he's shooting 21%. Herter is shooting 26.9 from out there.
They're due.
Gallinari is shooting 16.7.
They're due. He's really due.
Yeah, well, they can be due down at the park because at last I heard Ben Simmons is probable for Game 5.
Oh, whatever. Yeah, that was the joke going around Twitter last night. That was very funny. This Atlanta team, you talk about not having Capella, but not having Capella and John Collins, I think really hurts this squad when you try to match up inside.
True, because I mean Collins has tried to play, but I mean he hasn't really been all that effective.
Right.
The foot issue, and then the ring finger issue, and
yeah, he obviously is. I would say less than 50% at this point when he gives it a go. So it's not ideal at all.
Yeah,
this Miami team, I liked him. I picked him to come out of the East, and they've shown me nothing in this first series to make me doubt that pick. So.
Now, if they run into Boston, which wouldn't come until the conference finals, who do you think has the upper hand there?
Well, like I said, I'm not going to quit them now. I'm not going to pick a team, have them win a series, 4-1, and then back off of them. So
true.
I'll ride with Miami.
We've talked a lot all season about how Spoelstra gets the most out of guys that most people, most casual fans have never heard of.
Yep, absolutely right. Okay, buddy, we got to go fast. We got about 10 minutes.
Memphis over Minnesota. Memphis.
Yep, okay, there you go.
Memphis second in postseason scoring. They're at home. I also like the under in this game because if you look in this series, when the totals have gone over, Minnesota wins. When the total stays under, Memphis wins. I think John Morant's ready to bounce back. He had 2 miserable games at the Target Center. I can't trust that Karl Anthony Towns is going to play the way he did in Game 4 because if you look in Game 3, he was 3 of 4 from the floor in the whole game.
Right.
What do you make of it?
I've got New Orleans there. I mean, I've got the Timberwolves in this one. I think they step out and take care of business
on the road.
Yep, I like them on the road. They picked up one road win there. I think they can do it again. I think this is I'm not necessarily I don't necessarily like them to win. I think they keep it close enough and cover the spread, though.
Gotcha. Well, now we can move on to the fun part of the show.
Here we go. It's where you make money, everybody.
We talked about the Dodgers. I know Scott just said he's going to take Minnesota with the points, but I'm going to stick with Memphis. I just think that, like I said, Morant's due. He's not going to play as badly as he did the last two games, at least God willing. And we talked about Vancouver and Tampa Bay. Those games should be relatively one-sided victories for the home teams, which is always a plus for us, not necessarily for the opposition, but
right.
They don't pay me to care about them.
And do you ever mention which ones you tend to play with the puck line or the run line? Do you ever get of a lean that way?
Sometimes. I mean, in this case, I lean towards the puck line with Vancouver because I don't trust Seattle.
Okay.
In Tampa Bay's case, I just think that after watching them score 8 on Florida the other night, they'll probably roll Columbus out of the building by a couple of goals. So I'd probably lean towards the puck line there because I get the money lines are prohibitive, but sometimes people don't want to mess with, are they going to win by 2 or are they going to win by whatever, So that's why we put them both up there.
Right. Yeah, and you get the when you get the empty net shenanigans there at the end where, one team or the other, either somebody scores an empty netter or somebody has the man advantage and pops one in there to get it within 1. So
yeah, there's always that aggravation.
They can be a great bet for 58.5 minutes and then not so much.
Yeah, ask Washington the other day. They were ahead 3-2 with under a minute to go, and Toronto scored with 57 seconds left, and then Washington lost in a shootout. So a lot of people were irritated that they took the Capitals, period.
Sure. Yeah, I get that.
Now we'll go to everybody's favorite, the 4 for the show. I'm going to go with the Giants over the A's. Carlos Rodon going against Dalton Jeffries. Fortunately, this game is in San Francisco, so there'll actually be people in attendance. Any thoughts about that, Scott?
At first glance, that looks to be a pretty hefty price for this time of year. That you see, is that minus 275 there is what I'm seeing, bud?
Yeah, that's the money line. The run line is minus 120.
And that's decent value. Of course, they're the home team, so you're always gonna catch a little more value on the home team on the run line because obviously if they're ahead, they're only going to get 8 at bats. So I'm kind of with you. Rodon has been very good this year, although Dalton Jeffries has been no slouch himself in his starts. He has 1 and 2 as far as his record goes, but I don't know that there's more meaningless stat than wins for a pitcher for a starter, especially these days. But he's been competitive, 1.17 ERA, 0.97 WHIP. So he's a guy that can give you some innings. I'm just not sure I would lay that kind of price at this point in the season. We haven't seen a lot of numbers that strong. I would feel better about it in the 230 range. So yeah, that's my feelings on that. All this Oakland team, I think they may have had their run, Chris.
Yeah, I think they've overachieved already. They're 9-8 or something like that.
Yep.
They could end up winning 9 games in the next 2 months, like the Diamondbacks did last year.
Yep, very good. What else we got, buddy?
The Blue Jays over the Red Sox. I'm going to take Gossman over Pivetta and his ERA of 10.03. You saw Gossman shut down Boston at Fenway last week through 8 innings, give 1 run. I look for him to do it again. Toronto won yesterday 6-2 behind Barrios. And, Boston, they're missing some guys because of not being able to travel with COVID or the COVID restrictions north of the border. We've seen that wreak havoc in the NBA with Thibault and everything. I just think they're going to get the win there. We talked about the Heat and the Hawks. And this is a big game for the Washington Capitals. They're opening a home-and-home set with the Islanders. Caps still trying to catch Pittsburgh. They're 1 point behind for the final guaranteed spot in the Metropolitan, so they can get out of the wild card matchup, which would put them against the Florida Panthers in round 1. I look for Samsonov to get the better of Sorokin in the battle of Russian goaltenders in that one before they switch venues to the UBS Arena later this week.
Okay. All right. That's solid. I'm anxious for your shot in the dark, your best 10 here, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, we had a good one yesterday in the hockey game that like anybody cared because of the Blackhawks and the Flyers, but all 3 of those hit yesterday. the under, the Blackhawks winning, and DeBrincat going over 3.5 shots. Of course, the fourth shot he took went in the net, so that was a bonus. But look at that, Scott. The Kansas City Royals are on there.
You poor sad man.
They're facing Keuchel with his ERA of 15.
He'll be the great equalizer there. That's he saved his one good performance of the year for this one. Now Greinke's been good. He's been solid. I'll tell you what, Chris. I'm worried about Greinke though. He's not striking anybody out. He's not getting any swings and misses. We all knew that. He doesn't throw 95, 96 anymore. He tops out about 90, 91 on his fastball. But I don't think anybody expected that kind of drop off as far as swing and miss stuff goes. So I worry that there's some regression coming with Greinke. I hope it's not today for our sake.
Well, I've got good news for you because Greinke's not pitching.
I've got Greinke and
it's Daniel Lynch.
Sorry, I rolled into. Oh no, dude, you can't take Lynch. No,
I'm taking Lynch over Keuchel because you got to think of this White Sox lineup doesn't have Eloy Jimenez. They don't have Luis Robert. Both those guys are on the IL.
Yeah, I don't think you appreciate how bad Lynch is. So
hey, he's got as many wins as Keuchel.
I don't care. I'm just saying. Sorry, I was rolled ahead to yesterday's to tomorrow's action there with Greinke and Cease. I understand fading Keuchel. I totally get it. I'll take an over there. I'll give you for especially a first 5 over. Lynch, I love this class of 2018, but they have not taken that next step where they all debuted in the minors. First time 5 pitchers from the same class have ever debuted 3 years later, but they haven't been great. It's you've got
but now's it could be a get right spot. You never know.
Sure. And I mean somebody's got to win. You got Anderson out still, right?
I'm not sure if I know he appealed his suspension for flipping the bird. I don't know if they've done anything with it yet or not.
Okay. All right. I wish you lots of luck there, my friend. I
figured you'd be excited to see the Royals on the right side or the left side of the ledger.
Now with Daniel Lynch on the man, I felt a lot better about Greinke. So,
but yeah, I'm going to go with the Guardians over the Angels. I know that didn't pan out yesterday, but I think Tristan McKenzie is a better pitcher than Patrick Sandoval. I'm going to take Sandy Alcantara and the Marlins. The Marlins have a good pitching staff for a team that that pays nobody any money.
Such a great under team. We've loved unders on that team. They've had a great pitching staff for the last 3 seasons, and they can't hit. So yeah.
Well, that's because they trade all their hitters.
They do, and you know what? And they're kind of like Tampa, where they trade a lot of their pitchers too, and just keep regenerating guys. They're like stone crabs. You cut off their leg, and it grows back. They have an endless supply of really good young pitchers and an endless supply of terrible hitters.
And Tim Earl says the Royals money line today.
Okay, well, you got you and Timmy. I know what you guys have in common. You've never seen Daniel Lynch pitch, so
I'm going to take I'm also going to take the Tigers over the Twins.
My God, you're just going nuts, aren't you?
Well, I mean, if you look at who the Twins are pitching, they're throwing Chris Paddock. He hasn't looked good. 0-2 with an ERA of 5. I know Erod hasn't been good for the Tigers, but look at Bo Brisky the other day. Like he said, he's only made 2 starts above single A ball, and he held his own against the Rockies over the weekend. I think Erod should get a win in this one.
Paddock has been awful, just dreadful so far this season. And unlike like you said with Erod, at least he's had a career. Some of these guys never had a prime, if you know what I'm saying.
Right. This guy here is dead.
Right.
And on the hardwood, were you leaning over or under with the Minnesota-Memphis game?
You know what? It's just I worry about scramble points. I think it probably plays like an under, but I worry about that game being right in that 3 to 5 range where you just can't stop fouling at the end where you have to get it done. As long as it's still in the 230s, though, I can't make myself take an over. I can't do it. I can't do it in this postseason. I'm going to play the under there, and hopefully it'll either be really close, or they just play it out, or it'll be a blowout, and we won't have scramble points. Because I think that's the only way we get beat. I think if we get beat on an over there, I think it's a bad beat.
Yeah, because it went down from 233. So I mean, it's trending in that direction.
Yep.
I'm looking for Atlanta and Miami to stay under. Hey, all 4 games have. Why not keep that trend going, right?
I agree.
And I think the Pelicans and the Suns is going to end up under. I know they went over in Game 4. I was a little surprised by that. I think it's going to fall under the number, especially they've already ruled Booker out again.
Right.
I stayed away from picking a side in that one because it's just you don't know what Suns team's going to show up.
No, well, whatever Suns team shows up, they're going to be shorthanded without Booker. This is a team that is shot less than 30% from downtown without Booker, and it's just hard to see where that amount of offense is going to come from.
Yeah, Sly said CP3 had a bad game last time, so he'll probably go off tonight for a bunch.
Certainly possible. He's certainly possible. Great player, no question about it. But I've got to go with you there. As far as the total goes, it's just and I'm impressed the way this New Orleans defense has stepped up. They weren't horrible during the regular season, but they've held the Suns to 114 or less in all of their games. They've averaged about 110. The Suns have yet to hit their season average. So I think the Pelicans have done an admirable job working with what they have there. On the defense.
And then on the ice to round it out, I'm going to take the Panthers over the Bruins. That game coming to you from the TD Garden will be Sergei Bobrovsky against Linus Ullmark. I'm going to take the Rangers over the Hurricanes as they try to keep their faint Metropolitan Division playoff hopes alive. They have to win in regulation in order to keep that going. Shesterkin facing the third-string goalie for the Hurricanes, Piotr. I got to look up what his name is because it's about 38 letters long, and it's got a whole bunch of consonants. Kochetkov, yes. Sure. Piotr Kochetkov is in that for the Hurricanes tonight over Antti Ranta. Frederik Andersen, of course, still hurt. And then the Flames over the Preds. Markstrom over Saros. Nashville trying to hang on to a wild card spot. The Flames have won the Pacific Division title. That game coming to you from the Music City at the Bridgestone Arena. I just like the way Calgary's played. Any team coached by a Sutter is usually going to be a hard-working team, and that's what's propelled them to the top of the Pacific.
All right, there you go. There's 10 of you. There's 10 for you, everybody. Put your 4-team round robins in there. Knock yourself out. Go crazy. Any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Well, I want to thank Rock for being, or not Rock, Rich for being on the show. Jim told us Rock will be here tomorrow, so some more good NFL draft stuff coming. We'll get some more information. Hopefully there'll be some good games on tonight. Any games in particular you're going to watch, Scott?
I'm excited about watching both of the basketball games, and I'll have the Royals on one channel just because I'm a glutton for punishment. But I want to make sure that Lynch is really as bad as I think he is. What else am I looking at? I don't. I like to see this. I like to watch this Colorado team play right now. There should be some runs scored in that game. Marquez is one of those guys that's actually a little better at Coors Field than he is on the road, and he's going up against Eflin, who hasn't really found it yet this season. So that could be an entertaining game with a lot of runs scored. I'm sure I'll have my eyes on that one as well.
Yeah, I know they went over yesterday because Philadelphia broke through late to win that one. What was it, 8-2?
Right.
And we told you about the Battle of the Kyles. Didn't go Freeland's way, but he's got all that money coming, so there's that.
Yeah, he does. Well, the other one I want to watch Logan Gilbert. I've been really impressed with this kid so far. He's got a microscopic ERA and a microscopic WHIP so far for Seattle. I won't call Seattle a surprising team. Everybody kind of predicted them to be in the mix for a playoff spot, but they have gotten off to a nice start, sitting at 10-6, taking on Tampa Bay down there in Florida. So I do want to see Logan Gilbert pitch on the road.
Yeah, Whistler's the opener. They say Josh Fleming is probably going to be the bulk inning guy for Tampa Bay.
Okay. We'll see how that one goes.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Absolutely. That's going to do it for Just Parlays. As always, we appreciate you guys stopping by. Apologies if we didn't get to everybody in the comment section there. Anytime we have a guest on, obviously the show is going to be a little bit compressed. So we just kind of, and Chris, he likes to, so anyway, sorry, buddy.
It's all good.
He's got a lot of information, man. You managed to get a lot of bullet points in a lot of games in under 30 minutes. I'm impressed. Everybody watching this show should be impressed too. So good luck on all your plays, guys. Thanks for stopping by. Hey, if you ain't got nothing going on for the next hour, in about 5 minutes, I'll be right back here doing our show with my buddy Scott Reichel, heading back to the window with Scott and Scott. But until then, for just parlays, for myself, for Chris King, for Jim Williams, we appreciate you guys stopping by. We'll be doing this again tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central. And you guys have a great day. We'll see you next time. Take care, everybody.